In this module, we're going to turn to all of the ethical issues around the beginning of human life, and these include the hot button issue of abortion, but it also includes the issues around assistive reproductive technology, including IVF, cryopreservation, hormone therapy, and we're also going to be looking at what we do with our social policies towards infants, so the early years of childhood, which are often neglected in policy. And also, of course, another major issue in reproductive science, and that is, of course, what we have tagged designer babies, or the genetic modification of children. And all these issues are lumped together under the rubric of beginning of life issues. And of course, the hot button and most controversial one is the question of abortion. It's one of those questions that seems to divide the social fabric. It's one of the major issues of the so-called culture wars that have been going on in the United States. I mean, historically, abortion has been always widely practiced and available, and it really, in the United States, only becomes a political or legal issue in the end of the 19th and beginning of the 20th century. You can read more about that on the slide and some of the history that I've prepared for you regarding that. But the central issue of abortion, the way that most ethicists look at it, is over the notion of personhood and defining the exact moment or time in a non-arbitrary way where personhood is a attribute of the zygote fetus infant, and how you assign that is often going to determine your ethical stance on abortion, whether it happens at conception or later along the developmental process. Of course, we're going to see deontological, utilitarian, and virtue and care ethic positions mapped out in these. And as you look at the slides and read the material, what you'll see is that it might be the best strategy to go forward and look at both sides of the issue in a pro and con way, and look at both what I'm going to call strong arguments and weak arguments on either pro and con for the question of abortion. But ultimately, it seems to rest on what is a person and personhood itself, at least for non-utilitarians. Certainly affixing a stance on moral standing is key, and moral standing often rests on the notion of personhood. Is a fetus a person? And what then is a person? And this is a challenging philosophical question, one that we need to seriously look at in order to figure out what we're actually talking about when we're talking about persons. Marianne Warren has some nice standards by which we can judge personhood, and they include things like the capacity for language, the ability to reason, self-awareness, and these notions that seem to be present in all those things that we would call persons. And if a thing is a person, then they are going to have full moral standing, and then that becomes the issue on the ethical permissibility or impermissibility of abortion. Okay, so read the material and post your thoughts on the discussion board, and we'll look forward to reading them and thinking about some of the positions that you're trying to map out. And here, as in all issues that are full of political and impassioned debate, try to always strike an academic tone and be civil to one another. Okay, thank you.